Okay. Hello, everybody. We are here with our incredible guest, Angel Lopez. Angel is a psychologist and hypnotherapist. So, welcome, Angel. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we begin.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for having me here. Well, what I can tell about myself, yes, I think you have mentioned mostly everything. I have been working most of my life in the corporate management, and one day I got a realization, and I decided I wanted to move into psychotherapy. And since then, I have been training with different methods, and the one that attracted me the most was the working with the subconscious. And since then, I have been learning from different techniques. And subconscious is basically the work that I do, just trying to enter there and trying to get the most out of that place. Because I believe there are very good professionals working in the consciousness side, but not so many on the unconsciousness side. That's the place where I work.
Amazing. And can you tell us about your work about being a hypnotherapist?
Yes, I have been working with the subconsciousness like for the past 8 years, and going there, there's like different routes. And I practice QHHT, the method that Dolores Cannon developed. I practice therapy of past lives, and that is the method that Jose Luis Capulli is an Argentinian medical doctor. And I have also been trained with Antonio Sangio in the US as well. Basically, the technique is more or less the same, but facing different problems people have.
So, for those who don't know, past life regression is basically you enter in a hypnotist state, which is
Mhm.
like a trance state where you feel like you're going to sleep, but you're not sleeping,
Yeah.
right? And then you get to see past lives,
Hmm.
and the reason why you want to see your past lives is because they will help you with the problems and frustrations that you have in this life, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would say there are two different ways to enter that space. On the one hand, you have one way to enter there where you will have like a trauma, something happened to you and you want to revisit that. And by revisiting that place, basically you heal it, and yeah, basically you heal that trauma that you had there. And that can happen in this current life, in this current incarnation, or that can happen in a past life. So with the therapy of past lives, you don't always go to a past life, because maybe this life, this incarnation has some stops before going there. While in QHST, you always go to a past life. And you don't need to have a trauma in QHST to go to a past life. You just need to have like a deep desire, an inside desire to explore much more about you. And then you go to a past life that is pertinent to your current situation. And then you have something else that is like an extra where you would talk to your higher self. And that conversation, the higher self, is like the one who knows everything about you and everything about the challenges in this incarnation.
Yeah, correct. And so that's actually the reason why I met you, because I wanted to do QHHT, past life regression, because I wanted to basically understand myself a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any traumas or any fears or anything that I needed to work on. I just wanted to know who I really was,
Mm-hmm.
from a soul level, and that was really interesting. So I recommend it 100%.
Thank you.
So let's talk about those unresolved traumas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how does can you give us an example of what an unresolved trauma from a past life can manifest into this life?
Yeah, one very typical is the fear of the phobia of speaking in public, and that is a very recurrent one. So normally people would come to see me and they would tell me, well, why I'm so afraid of speaking in public, or why when I try to speak in public I have like a sore throat and my voice is basically stops. So that is one classical example, and many times that goes back to a past life, where, for example, a typical case, imagine in the in the medieval times, where uh, I remember a lady who was dealing with herbs and making potions and medicines for the public that were something like out of nowhere, out of no place, and that got into the attention of the village, and they didn't like that. They thought that she was a witch,
Mm.
and because of that practice, she was many times hanged up. She
Oh,
was
she was
killed
hanged. Yeah.
because of that practice, and she had that pain in the throat. So that experience is for the soul is unresolved and is not
Oh,
healed. So the reason why people have that fear many times of speaking in public is because they have had a traumatic experience in a past life, because they were not able to tell the truth, and we need to go back to that same moment where that was happening and then heal what happened in that past life, because for the soul there's not such thing as time, and the soul still thinks that that is affecting the soul. So
yeah,
to
because
go back
time
there
time is not linear
is
linear. So
exactly. It is said that for
okay.
the soul everything is happening at the same time. We are all living our lives, our many different lives at the same time.
That is mind blowing because I've read that in many books and I still cannot understand. And even when I was in my regression and I went as a soul and I saw, I still can't understand how that works. But it's all right.
Okay.
So I actually remember an example from a book from Robert Weiss, and it was about a woman who had a deep phobia of like swallowing,
Hmm.
so she couldn't even like take pills or anything.
Oh.
Um, it was a deep phobia of drowning,
Hmm.
and then um, and then when they regressed her, they found that she had drowned
Oh.
uh, in water, and so that's why she felt in this
Hmm.
life. So that would be another example of what you're
Exactly.
talking about, right?
Hmm.
Okay. And how many regressions have you done?
Well, hundreds.
Or
I have done hundreds.
hundreds?
Yes.
And is there a specific maybe trauma that you see that a lot of people have? Like, do you see a specific pattern? Like, for example, public speaking or
Public
drowning or
speaking is
something?
one. Phobia of closed spaces is another one. And many times people have been buried alive, and
Oh my God.
yes. So they don't understand why they have that phobia of closed spaces, and that is one of the reasons. Another one that is very typical as well is when people have like a huge desire of eating all the time, eating all the time, eating all the time. And what I have found in the cases that I have done is that many times those people died of starvation in a past life. And in this,
They die of constipation?
no, starvation.
Oh, starvation.
Yes, they didn't have a chance to eat, so they died because they didn't have any food. And in this life, they are like compensating that, or
Oh, wow.
accumulating food in their homes, like a full room full of food, because they feel that they will be, or they will face scarcity again. So that is something that has happened many times as well. And one of the examples of these current lives where we are so busy, we are so money driven. When we do QHST, people go to a past life that is very simple, and we do not have anything. That they have basically the food for that day and nothing else. And the message is always stop doing everything that you are doing, because you are just getting money, getting so focused on getting rich, and life is more simple than that. Don't worry too much. You're dedicating your whole life to all the materialistic things that you can never buy, but what for?
That's very important because when you do a regression and like when people go under regression, you feel what how it felt during that past life. So they will be able to feel that joy and happiness from a simple life. Because when you think, oh, a simple life, they don't have anything. s- For me, at least, I immediately think, oh, they're sad or they're not happy. But then when you regress yourself and you go into this past life and you're living a very simple life, you feel joy and happiness and love. You don't need abundance financially to be happy.
Yeah, I recall one case where I did a regression to a guy who was sick and he had a chronic disease, but he was very wealthy. And he went into a life where he was a caveman. He was living in a cave. He had nothing. It was like in the times of the prehistory where people would be living in caves and had nothing, just the clothes of an animal covering their bodies. And and he had a very simple life, and he got married or joined a partner, and he had two kids. And I remember in that life there was a flood, and the flood took everything they had. And I asked him, well, how do you feel now that you have nothing? And he said, well, how should I feel? I didn't have anything, I have nothing now, so what's the difference? And I'm happy in this situation. So that was the message for that wealthy man who was sick in a chronic disease. Stop worrying that much for your money. Money is not
Yeah.
important. You are sick and you don't realize that your concern is not that important now. So that was the life that person saw. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does being sick, is that a reflection of the soul or something that we're not happy with in our lives?
Well, I'm not a medical doctor, but one of the questions that I have when I interview people is have you gone to everything you can go to check your health? Because sometimes people come and say, well, I want to heal this and I want to heal that. And I say, well, go to a doctor. That's the first thing that you have to do. Go to a medical doctor and check how are you doing. And then if doctors don't feel or don't find whatever it affects you, then we will go and have a session. So it is true that emotions, many times, the emotions that are not worked through the soul, many times pop up through the body. But there's not a direct correlation. Many times is absolutely a mechanistic or direct influence of the way that you are living. Doesn't need to be something expressing your soul's concern. But some of the times it is true, is that your emotions are not processed, a trauma is not processed, and then it pops up in one part of your body.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
understanding where it's coming from has an effect on your body. But as I said, always go to the doctor first.
Mm, that's true. That's very true. It can be both as well, right?
It can be both,
It can be
exactly.
both. Yeah. Um, this brings up a fear that a lot of people have with past life regressions. It's a fear that I also had before I came to you, and it's the fear of uh, experiencing suffering in a past life,
Mm-hmm.
um, or like a trauma. Like if you were hanged or murdered, I don't want to remember this.
Yeah.
So how does one deal with that? Does that happen often? Um,
Yes, well, there are two different routes. The route of the past life therapy, where you go in search of a trauma. If you are going in search of a trauma, you will experience that trauma, but that trauma is a healing tool as well. So it is just with your agreement that you will go into that direction. And then the other direction is QHHT, where of course you're going to experience a life from the very beginning till the end when you die. But when the moment of dying comes in QHST, we have one instruction that we say, you don't need to experience the physical pain that you will be suffering. You can look at the thing as an spectator from the outside. So you just have to see what is happening. You don't have to feel the pain of what is happening. So it's kind of dissociation, where you see your death in that life, but you don't have to feel the pain of that life. And many times in QHST, it's very rare that you will find a tragic or a traumatic death. In QHST, many times you will lie peacefully in your bed, surrounded by your loved ones. Many times, many times. I would say that the exception in QHST is that you die soon or traumatically, that something happens, but if it happens, we dissociate the experience from the pain.
That's interesting. Why do you think that happens? Why do you think that in QHHT you don't see painful deaths? Well, is it because,
Yeah, because normally in QHST, at least in my experience, is a self-discovery process. You don't need to experience any trauma, not at all. It's a self-discovery process. And since it's a self-discovery process where you are opening basically what I call into an spiritual epiphany, you don't need to experience any trauma. You're not searching for that. Basically what you are searching most of the times is for your life's mission, for your life's purpose. So you are not trying to heal at that particular lifetime something special, no. Then when you have the opening of the conversation with the higher self, you can look back and look for what's bothering you, like pain, like an emotion not properly developed. But in the past life, normally it's going to be a very beautiful life. Even though you might have no money or a very simple life, but it's a beautiful life.
yeah, it is a beautiful experience. I loved it,
Yeah,
literally.
even when, for example, I remember one when a person, a lady, was thrown out of a boat. Still, she managed to get into an island, and she spent the whole life alone in that island. Even that experience was nice. I had a lot of messages to this lady at that moment.
Wow. She
Yeah.
saw her entire life by herself in an island?
Yes, the whole life. She was young and she was going in a I think it was a 16th or 17th century boat. And something happened in the boat where she was thrown out of the boat. But she managed to go into an island, yes.
Oh my God. You must have amazing stories.
Yes, they are amazing. But as I said, many times life are super simple. Are
Yeah.
super simple because that's what we need to see. We don't need like super complicated lives that we have today to be happy. So the message many times is you are happy with nothing to it. I
Yeah.
remember one person also super wealthy. He came for a visit and he went into a life where he had nothing. He just were living in a mill where they were grinding corn and thing, and they would be selling the flour out of corn. And that super simple life, they were super happy. They had nothing, just the mill to grind corn, and they were super happy. That lady in a past life was a man. He married the woman that he loved. He had children, and in that simplicity, they were happy.
That's so beautiful.
Yes,
We need to remember this more.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I want to ask you something that we've talked about before, and uh, this is not related to past life regressions. This is about lost souls.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came to you and when we had the session, you saw that I had a lost soul, and you told me this is actually very common. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, that is something that we normally don't pay attention. But when I teach, for example, meditation, I was teaching meditation the other day in this yoga school, and I was telling them whether we like it or not, whether we perceive it or not, we are surrounded by different extra-dimensional beings. So depending on of our level of vibration, we will be aware or we will not be aware in our whole lives. But the event and the fact happens. And sometimes when people feel super tired, when they don't have any energy, when all of a sudden they have like likes or dislikes that they didn't have from a moment in time, that there are like indications or indicators that there's something in the vibratory field that is not theirs. So one of the things that I do when I have that perception is always just check if they have something there. And lost souls to me are like another client, because lost souls are suffering. They don't know where they are. And in all the cases, they don't know where they are. So they are disincarnating souls that once they had a body, but they didn't realize that their body died. So they go into the one who gets close to them and makes them feel that they are alive. So they are lost and they are suffering. So I talk to them with the most love I can offer to them, and let them know that they are not in the place that they should be. And many times when a person has lost souls in the vibratory field, what happens is that there's not only one, there's many more than one, because that person is like a super vehicle for those souls who are lost. And since that person, without knowing, is a vehicle for lost souls, many times there are more than one, and many times there are kids too, children.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Can it also be like deceased family members, like parents, grandparents that one has that
Yes,
passed?
many times what I have faced is that there are. I remember once when I asked who that person was and what that person or that soul was doing in that vibratory field. The person told me that he was the grandfather of that person. And I asked, "What are you doing there?" "I'm protecting her." "But she doesn't
Mm-hmm.
need protection." "No, but I'm here to protect her." So many times there are soul members wanting to protect the person. Yeah,
Their intentions are good,
their
but they
intentions.
just don't understand what's
Yes.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also be, can it be agreements that people have?
Uh, Agreements, yes. Many times people have agreements from past lives, but that is completely different from a lost soul. Uh, Agreements like mandates, like, for example, one very typical: "I will always love you at the moment of dying." So people come to visit me and tell me, "Well, I don't know what my relationships are always so bad, or why I'm not getting the person that I want, or why my love life is terrible." And many times it's because there's a person made a commitment in a past life that "I will always love you and I will never be with another woman or man," for example. And that has an impact on this life. And that has
Oh,
happened not many times, but I have seen that at least 2 or 3 times. Or the agreement or the mandate can be a celibacy. Imagine people who have been a priest, and they tell, "I will never be with a woman." So you have to revoke that mandate.
so you have to remember in order
Well, you have to
to
go to
break.
you have to
Yeah.
go to that past life. Remember that you had an obedience agreement with whatever the religious organization was, and if you want to have a full life in this current incarnation, then you have to revoke that mandate or that agreement.
Wow, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people have those problems.
Yes, yes, and I have also seen. I remember one case when this lady had a partner, but she didn't know what she felt so attracted by this other man, and this other man was coming and going from her life and seeking to visit me. And she told me, "Well, I'm very happy with my current partner, but from time to time I see this guy and I feel so attracted to this person." And I said, "Well, that's it, what's happened." So she went into a past life where this man was killing her, and all of a sudden her kid comes when she was dying. And just to make the story short, because there's much more than that, the kid is his current partner, and the person who was killing her in that past life is this guy who she feels so attracted. And this guy in that past life was his love affair, the one who was killing. This guy who was killing her belonged to a very rich family, and she was very poor, so they didn't want to know that she had an affair with this lady. And it was very interesting because the kid who saw everything is his current partner in this lifetime, and is a very dependent partner. She wants to control her, where she is, what she's doing. And I can understand that from that past life, because that little boy was let alone. And right now, in this current lifetime, her partner wants to know every time, where is she? Where is she? What are you doing? So that's
Oh my God.
a pattern clearly connected to that past life.
And in that situation, is it enough if one of them does past life regression and heals that, or both of them have to do it?
No. It is enough, but it affects everyone who appears in that lifetime. It affected the boy that she meets from time to time, because actually she told me, well, you know what, I got a call from this boy that I see, that I felt so attracted to. But her current partner was affected too, like more loving and more understanding.
Wow, that's so
Yeah,
crazy.
in this case as well, many times it's very advisable to go to the origin of where everything started. And when she was being murdered, I said, well, maybe we need to go to the origin of the relationship between the two of you. And we went into another past life where she, as a man, was killing this person as a woman. So it was like a karma going or paying back. And
Wow.
many times that happens when there's cases of harassment or sexual abuse, where somebody has been abused in this current incarnation. We go back into a past life, and the abuser was that person into this other one. So
Is that something you see often?
yes, so many times it's a payback time.
Oh, wow. So that's how karma works, right? Or
Yes, in past life, karma is not a general rule. Many times the past life that you see is just self-explanatory of everything that is happening to you today. But in some other times it's karma related, yes. Something that was unfinished, unresolved, and in this current incarnation you have the opportunity to manage and solve that.
okay. And going back to lost souls, just super quickly because I forgot to ask you before we changed the subject. How do you help the lost souls? How do you help the person get rid of that lost soul as
Yeah,
well?
many times my technique is to do a regression to that past, to that lost soul. And the question that I ask, you are going to remember, or you are going to go to the last day where you had a body. And the last day or the last hours where that person had a body is when something happened and that person didn't realize that she died. Typical case, an accident or a killing that a person was not expecting, or a suicide. This is not a general rule, but many times when a sudden accident happens and the body dies, the soul doesn't realize that all of a sudden the soul doesn't have a body to be with him. So the soul goes to the first one that is just passing by. That's why I say always to everyone, you need to protect yourself every day. Every day your vibratory field, because if not, you are like very open to different forces. So when I find a lost soul, I many times I do a regression to realize that body died, and now it's time to go to the light. That's not the place to be.
So you send them to the light
I send them.
where
Yes,
where they can complete their process and
yes,
do
and,
what
and many
they need to.
times, especially with kids, that they don't realize that they are as well dead. I invite a family member to go and take them to the light. And
Oh, that's super.
many times is their mom who comes. and take them to the light.
But what if the mom is not? What if the mom is still lives?
Then I talk to the beings of light
Okay.
to support and help that person that is willing to go to the light.
Okay. And beings of light would be angels and
Yes.
beings like this.
Many times I ask the angels to come and escort that person into the kingdom of light.
Okay. That's super cute.
Yes.
That's very nice.
Yes.
All right.
You
So
feel,
everybody should have this in mind.
yes, you feel very well when you have help lost souls because they are suffering as well.
Yeah. And it's very common to have lost souls around you.
Well, I wouldn't say
So
it's
that
very
people.
common, but something happens. Or sometimes happens, and is when they give you in the preliminary interview, when they give you like indications that, as I said, I feel tired, I feel like I'm not myself. All of a sudden, I have started drinking alcohol, or all of a sudden, I start smoking when I hate it. So those change of flags is like an indication of, well, it is worth to check. And I would say that in more than 80% of the cases, there's nothing. I don't even go there because.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say it's exceptional.
Oh,
You
okay. I
feel
thought it was more common.
no, 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 because if the person that doesn't have the symptoms, of course, I not even talk about that. No. If the session is QHHT, I will never go there unless I feel something. Sometimes we start in a session in QHHT and person would tell me, Angel, I feel like there's like something here, somebody here, I see like a shadow or something, and I say, well, maybe it's worth to explore. But if not, no, I wouldn't go there. And
Okay, so they're different. They're different things. They're like different sessions, let's say, very completely different from each other.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And what is one of the symptoms feeling very tired suddenly? Like you're always fatigued and chronic tiredness?
Yes, but normally that started in a particular time when something happened. For example, like I went into the hospital, I had general anesthesia, and since that day, everything has changed. Because hospitals is like a very typical place when you lose consciousness because of the anesthesia, and then you are very open. Plus, the energies in a hospital are like favor the transition of lost souls everywhere. So hospitals is one of the places where you have to go and protect yourself.
Okay, that's good to know.
Or, for example, I remember one case where I asked Saul, how did you get into that person? And he told me, well, it was a case of an accident, and that person didn't realize that the body died. So, and the person told, well, I just saw that person and went in. She was like, easy. I just went in, and I felt alive again. So many times there are things like accidents where you pass by, you are very curious to see what has happened, and if in that case a person died, chances are that the soul might come and try to go in your vibratory field. Hospitals are
Good to
like
know.
a better place for that.
Yeah, because they're lost, so they have no idea what's happening. Yeah. Okay. I have so many questions for you, but I know that you don't have a lot of time. So maybe we can stop here, and if you have more time next week, maybe we can continue our conversation. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
I will be delighted.
Thank you. Thank you so much for answering my crazy questions and for being so honest and transparent about all of this. I love talking to you, and I hopefully everybody else would also love our conversations.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you very much.
If you're interested, if our audience is interested in Angel's services, you can check out his website, which I will write down in the description, is angelmlopez.com. And you can find more about what QHHT is and everything he offers.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.